Welcome to the SPC Year 10 English Reading Comparing Podcast. I'm Matt Hurley, Director of Additional Needs Converteds, and I'll be the host in a series of podcasts where staff members have professional but casual conversations on aspects of this unit of study. I hope you find them useful addition to your working class. So now, on the episode.
So, Jackie, what I wanted to discuss with you as librarian, I'm guessing you've seen your way around a couple of books in your time, and more than one book at any given time. The Year 10s are currently reading To Kill a Mockingbird, and they're also reading a play, A Man for All Seasons. And they have the task of keeping their wits about them, looking for things which are similar or contrasting between the two books. So, can you give me some idea of when you've been reading multiple books, do you ever see similarities between texts that really don't have any connection?
Yes. It happens quite a lot, really. You look at certain characters might be the same, certain relationships in that the main character has with other people can be similar. Also, the types of conflict that they might have with either their environment or the characters or some sort of problem that they have can, even though they can be different, the actual conflict, the way that they're feeling and things like that can be very similar, and they may react in very similar ways.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So if I think about these two books, and you mentioned relationships, both books have a father-daughter relationship. So I guess we could say that that's something that the boys could look at, how does the father and the daughter in one text work with the father and daughter in the other text? Are they the same? Even though the plots are different, even though what they're dealing with is different, is the relationship between the two characters something that they can compare?
Yes, and they definitely could compare those sort of things. Yeah.
Okay. Do you ever find that that texts that are on completely different topics have a sameness in the way the story is told or the techniques that a writer uses? Yes,
I do. And in fact, there seems to be around 30 plots, right back in Shakespeare to these times. And most of the texts that you will read, if they're in a series or if they're standalone or completely different ones, have a range of plots in them and subplots. And there's only around about 30 of them. It's just that the way that the author tackles those can be quite different because the situation is different, the environment is different, it's set in the future, it's set in the past, it's set present day, it's dystopian, all that sort of thing plays a role in it. But you've probably read books that would be Romeo and Juliet all over again.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And so that sort of thing happens all the time. Yeah.
So if we think about that for a second, both books have characters that are going to lose their life. Mm-hmm. So there's an execution in both of them. So I guess what we're saying here is that even though Tom Robinson in To Kill a Mockingbird isn't having to do the same sort of things as Sir Thomas More, both those characters by the end of the text have sort of been sacrificed. So there's a similarity, and then we can look at what were the factors that brought about the sacrifice. Is it pointless? Is it for a good purpose? Is it going to make a difference? Are they going to deal with something on the other side of that death? Is it going to be all for nothing? These are the things that the guys can then sort of look for as they're reading through the text.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Have you ever found a similarity in characters between texts that you've read? The plots, you say there's maybe 30 basic plots. I imagine, I don't know if anyone's counted them, but I imagine you'd find there's a lot of characters that have a real similarity amongst them, even though they're in different books.
Yes, they do. And at the moment, there seems to be a lot of female heroine characters going on. So you could look at The Hunger Games, and you could also look at Throne of Glass.
Yeah, right.
Both of those series. Yeah. You could also look at Game of Thrones in that as well, because there's very strong female heroines in that one as well. So
if we wait there, though, so female heroines, are you saying that a female heroine in a situation where they have to be heroic is going to be a little bit different from maybe a male hero? Do you find that the fact that it's a female character shapes it differently?
It can shape it differently, but also it doesn't seem to matter
No.
that they're male or female as well.
Yeah.
The way that they may react in a certain situation would be from quite a female point of view. And it's interesting when the female is overly aggressive or overly abrupt or assertive or something, that it can seem, whether that person stays likeable or not, as opposed to a male, whether that person seems likeable or not.
Okay.
I think that if it's written really well, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If it's written a little bit cliche or there's a little bit of a formula to it, then I think that you might walk away from that female heroine book not liking her as much.
Yeah, okay. All right. There's a moment in A Man for All Seasons where Thomas More's daughter, who comes across as tremendously well-educated and is very intelligent, which women always have been, but back in Tudor England, they didn't get an education. So Thomas More had been really unusual in giving his daughter an education. And when the king meets her, he's happy to have a little conversation with her in Latin and in Greek until she turns out to be better at those languages than he is. And then he gets a little bit upset about that. Yeah. Gets his nose out of joint. You don't want to upset the king. But she's that smart that she's able to pull back and let him have, be the smartest person in the room again. She's quite good at that. If that had been a male character,
would he have needed to pull back?
Yeah,
and would he have needed to be that insightful?
Yeah. Probably not.
Maybe not.
I mean, it's still the king. You've got to let the king win. But yeah, there's the idea of what a female character brings to a story is something I think probably we don't look at too much. Maybe the boys can keep an eye out for the female characters in the two texts and see what it is that's troubling or motivating or an issue for those characters, and whether or not, look, if that was a male in the same situation, would it be as difficult? Would it be as important? Would it be as smooth? All those sorts of ideas.
But there's also the fact that a lot more fiction or YA fiction at the moment has got a lot of female characters. It's just goes in swings and roundabouts. Yeah. And we've done a few of those in book club, and it hasn't mattered to the boys how aggressive or assertive those female characters needed to be. Yeah. Look at Katniss out of Hunger Games, but also Selena out of Throne of Glass and things like that. So, but I have felt that always there probably needs to be that level of sensitivity and tenderness somewhere in that female in order for us to like her.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, there's got to be feminine qualities.
Yeah, something that will round that person out as a character.
Okay, very good. So, all right, so if we recap, the boys are reading two texts that were not designed to be connected. We've connected them at the school, but that doesn't mean that they can't find connections and feel confident that they're making good ideas. They're just looking for links, maybe in the way the relationships of the characters inside the texts, how they deal with them, and also characters in general, storylines in general, and ultimately, I guess, what are we getting them to do? Are we getting them to see how the author explores? Would you say that's what you look for in a good book? You're looking for a good story. You're looking for how the author is going to explore things.
Yes, I do. And if they're going to put something controversial or something shocking or unsavoury in it, how they reconcile that character to it, how they make that character be believable and that it makes sense to them, things like that. So
it's not just what the action was; it's why the action.
And
how well the storyteller brought the audience along to understand that action.
That's right. And whether we're on that person's side. As a reader.
So the sympathy that we have for them. Yeah. Okay. Great.
Or even the insight and just the understanding. We mightn't feel sorry for them at all, but we might understand why they took that particular...
So we respect them.
Yes.
Yeah. Either sympathy or respect. One or the other. We're not going away thinking that was rubbish.
Otherwise that we will go away thinking it's rubbish. And just
disengage from the book completely.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
Thanks,